Hello. Welcome to Karma on Deck. I'm Karma. This is your Pisces reading for March 5th. So yes, we have sound. Yes, everything's good. Last time I had no sound. All right, so here we go. This is for you, Pisces. Let me shuffle really quickly. Thank you for all of your patience with my tech-tardedness. Hi, Beth. How are you, beauty? All right, here we go. This is for Pisces, and I myself am a Pisces rising. So for those of you that don't know a whole lot about astrology, you should be watching your rising sign, not necessarily your sun sign. There's your pearl for today. All right, here we go. And I can explain it another day, but you should be listening to your rising sign. All right, King of Wands. This is for your Pisces. Can I tune in if I only have one planet in Pisces, just Venus? Well, when it's mostly your sun, moon, and rising, yes. But if your Pisces is in Venus, it's how you interact in love. But I'd have to look at your aspects too. Thank you, Beth. Okay, so King of Wands coming up. So that has to do with outward service, right? Hi from the Philippines. Hi, Crystal. So I'm seeing the King of Wands, which is work, right? And this has to do with you having a little bit of outward direction, right? You have the Hermit card. You've been coming from a place of, you know, hermiting a little bit. You've got the High Priestess. Your gut is starting to talk to you. The High Priestess is about secrets. It's also about, you know, your intuition. You've got the Judgment card, the Nine of Wands, the Justice, the Lovers. You've got a lot of intense damn cards there, Pisces. Damn. You got the Two of Wands, feeling like you're in the middle of two different opinions. You've got the Magician. Celebration, Nine of Cups, Queen of Swords. Woo! All right, so it's not just the cards that come out, okay? This is the cards that are in combination. Think of them as a sentence, right? So we have the Lovers card. We have the Judgment card. I don't see the Chariot, which is a lot of intensity, but where'd it go? Judgment card. Okay, so this Judgment card has a three-headed dragon and an anvil. So I want you to think of those cartoons back in elementary school when we would play with, you know, watching those in the morning. And this card is the anvil, right? So that's intensity and judgment that has to do with consequences. Your instincts are telling you something's off, okay? We've got the Justice card and the Judgment card, right? So justice having to do with legal matters. Something on paper, something legal, something in writing. We've got the Lovers card, which is intensity. I always call the Lovers card the Great Tango. So here's what happens with a Great Tango, right? Someone is over here and they come to the middle. You dance for a second. This one goes over here. Sometimes it's like this. Sometimes it's like this. And it's the great little, you know, you have somebody that isn't like really on board at one time for very long. And so the Lovers card, even though people who haven't had a reading before think, oh, yay, the Lovers. No, we don't like that so much, right? It can tell us a different story, just like the F word. It can mean so many different things depending on the emphasis, right? So we have the Lovers card, and that means another level of intensity. So how intense can it really get? I'm also seeing the Nine of Cups. That might, with all of this going on, you might be finding yourself in a little bit of escapism, because this isn't exactly party, okay? Partying would be the Three of Cups. Partying would be sexuality, sensuality, drinking, playfulness. But this is the Nine of Cups, which is literally celebration. So it's kind of like amongst some other kind of unhappy cards. Internally, you feel like you have everything in balance, but because this is internal balance, right? But what you're finding is, why am I finding this discordance with others if I'm feeling so balanced? God, I need to go back and watch my own video. Okay, yes. So so now I have to teach you what I learned about mirrors, okay? So when we have mirrors, I've heard people say this over and over and over again, that how people interact with you is your mirror. And I thought, no, I'm not an asshole. So how do I get this guy who's being an asshole, right? They're treating me poorly and I don't treat people poorly. So how is it that's my mirror, right? So I had a moment recently. I had a client for the first time in a very long time that tried to scam me. And I was so upset. And then I recognized that the moment at which I started to engage with her, I wasn't at my most peaceful. I wasn't desperate, but I was definitely not focused on service. I was definitely focused on schedule and timing and getting it done and a bunch of other little things that came into play. And so the kind of client that I've been acquiring and enjoying and playing with have been my coaching clients and people that really want to know about their spiritual path rather than what's my ex doing over there on that post. Does he know it's about him kind of thing, right? So I I kind of got more of that desperation in there because I wasn't focused on what my intent was. And so you got to look at it as your mirror of your thought processes and your self-reflection and where you're coming from at the moment. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you have all these other things that are a mirror of how you're behaving. So this must be how you're showing up. It's the intent in which you move forward. And that is the mirror in which you see, right? So if you're playing grasping at straws, you're going to find other people in service to self. So when you're coming from a place of love and you're coming from a place of service, it won't shift everything immediately. I can promise you that, but it's going to continue to keep coming up so that you can see where your little boundaries are and where you're getting better with stuff. And you're going to continue to get better with more and more of these skill sets, the more you practice with them and more awarenesses. And I get people, I'm sorry I'm ranting, but I get people all the time that say, why do I keep having this narcissistic dynamic? Why do I keep having these broken relationships? And what happens is you have like I have personally, I can only use myself, right? Because this is my only experience, is my own. The only example I can really give with authority, right? Is I remember I had these really terrible relationships, but then I did notice through time that I started to see the signs much sooner. It went from I was married for 16 years, and then it was like, whoa, I'm not going to handle that. It was only a year. And then it was 6 months, and now it's 2 weeks. And now I'm like, no, I can see this a mile away, but it takes practice. Just like being an athlete, I don't know why we think that it's going to be so easy to just be like, well, I'm not going to do that again. But your habits remain the same until you practice with them. So there's all of this intensity. Again, sorry about the rant. Let me get back to this for you. So we have the Lover's card. We have the Two of Wands, which is indecision. Remember, indecision is a decision. And here goes Coach Karma. All right, let me get back to the reading. So I see the Five of Swords, which is a conflict on the fact of how you want to speak to you want more joy in your life. If you look here, we have the Five of Swords, the Magician, and then the Nine of Cups. And what that looks like is you want to go play. You don't know how to ask for what you want with that. Or maybe you're somebody who works too much and too hard, and the house of cards will fall apart if your one piece isn't in play. And I'm not saying it's not true, but you set it up that way. You set it up that way so you are indispensable, right? Or you set it up that way where you haven't learned to negotiate support. Okay, so I'm seeing that there's a lot of intensity for you, Queen of Wands, Queen of Swords, and the Eight of Wands, which tells me that there's a lot of intensity regarding your work. Some of you out there might be feeling as if you want to walk away, or if it's even the right place that you're supposed to be. Right? Is this my purpose? Is this where I'm supposed to be? So sometimes we do our day to day. I watched a show the other day. I think it was, I was watching Star Trek Discovery. Season 3 was just dumbfounding with the little backstories that they had in there. But they had said something about duty is the thing that you do to fuel your purpose. And so for some of us, we're not able to just quit and dive in. I didn't have a family at home when I dove into my business full time, but now I find myself having much more liberty to do so. But had I made that decision back then, it wouldn't have been possible, right? So we have to trust ourselves a little bit, and we have to recognize that, you know, sometimes the duty is the thing that we have to do our purpose. We don't need to sell our soul, but we need to recognize what parts we are giving and be okay with it. So I'm also seeing that Nine of Wands is one of the other things that's popping up, and the High Priestess, both I want to talk about before I put these up. Nine of Wands is structure. So you're working on the foundation in which you're operating with. We also have the High Priestess, and that's our card for intuition. So your intuition should be firing quite a bit, either that or having some dreams, picking up on some secrets people are keeping, or maybe you're getting some really great downloads like I've been this last 2 weeks. That's why you haven't seen videos from me. I've had a migraine right here, getting these dreams and downloads and all these new little things I never knew. All right, so let's do the Pisces moon reading for you and to see what your Pisces moon is looking like. Book your one-on-one, karmaondeck.com. I have some openings this weekend. If you want to play with me with the Tarot 101, check that out. Those are going to be on a weekday evening, this upcoming series, so you'll have an opportunity to have different times if you can't make it on weekends. Some of us get really busy with weekends. So let's take a look and see what our Pisces moon. Indecision is a decision. Remember that. One of the hardest lessons I've had to learn. Eight of Pentacles is popping out to my brain with this first reading with your moon, how you're thinking and feeling. I see the Nine of Swords. Again, there's no coincidence that I was talking about maybe your dreams are coming up weird, because I was talking about the High Priestess, and the very next card that comes up is the Nine of Swords. So how is your sleep? Are you having vivid dreams? Is there some moderate insomnia? Have you been restless? Have you had a hard time falling asleep, or maybe staying asleep, or feeling like you haven't slept well? because this card is coming up with the Tower card, the Lovers again, in that intensity. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is repetition and redundancy and fatigue. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is a lack of, and this card has literally come up in every single reading, and it's this lack of hope. And I've got to say that this has to do with our political climate, our, illness that's running around, that we're curing, that we're healing, that we're letting go of, that we're moving through. Like, let's not even claim it anymore. I'm sure we're getting to the plateau and seeing that go, right? But we do have this Five of Pentacles. Everybody's jobs are kind of tenuous, even if it's a great job. You know that they have options now, and so everybody's behaving themselves. Meanwhile, we've got everything. So there's a little bit of fear playing around with you. Defenses are up. I see overwhelmed, Ten of Swords, feeling as if there's too much on your back, feeling a little betrayed. And there is no coincidence, again, that I was talking about maybe you working too hard at work and nobody pulling their weight. I'm sure that's going on for you too, a little bit. I'm seeing Nine of Cups, which is overwhelm. And here goes Cosmo. He's going to start yelling now. But here's the thing. You have the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords, I better shut up shortly. So the Four of Swords is the card for silence. I call it my Snow White. And here's the thing about Snow White. You have to be in a perfect environment with the exact correct requirements in order to get her to talk to you, right? So you have to be the prince at the right time. Okay. So the Four of Swords is the card for silence. So maybe you're ghosting people or going quiet. I've been doing that, but it was more like hermiting and getting quiet and snacking and resting, right? And my friend who reached out to me January, she said, are you doing okay? Because that is a mechanism that I do, is I withdraw and I get quiet when shit's going crazy, because I don't want to be drama to anybody. So I keep it to myself, right? Some of you are doing this. That's the Four of Swords. Some of you are just quiet until you figure it out. Now, what happens with that is we get stuck there when we decide that we're going to process for a while. We don't end up processing. We end up just getting stuck in isolation. Now, I'm not seeing you. Yep, you do have the Hermit card. I lied. So the Hermit card and the Four of Swords, like, snap out of it, go outside, walk your dog, find an activity. I took the dogs, I'm house sitting a little pooch, and I took them all for a car ride and got out of the house and did not realize it was 70 degrees out because I get so nose down and doing my stuff. So I'm seeing two things here. We have the Two of Swords, which is indecision. You're not quite sure how you're going to navigate things that are coming up next for you, and you're worried, so you're getting stuck. And there's a reason I said indecision is a decision. So for you, this is Pisces, this is all you right now. So this is the Two of Swords. That's indecision. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. You think you have all this time to make these decisions, and you don't. But here's the other thing. Sometimes we don't breathe in the pauses. We have a tendency to want to microwave our life. We're used to instant results, and people don't develop that way. Life doesn't evolve that way. A baby takes 9 months. But we think that we can just, right now, everything. Okay, so we have timing involved, and we have the Strength card. So the message that the Strength card has for you is to rely on your wisdom. When you have past experience, it's teaching you in order to make better choices moving forward. So the Strength card literally is the card for shadow work. It literally means making friends with your demons, right? It's the parable of the mouse and the lion, where the mouse pulled I don't know, how many even know that anymore? Nobody reads. But the parable is about the lion and the mouse. The mouse sees this grouchy bear lion, and he goes up to him, and he finds out the reason why he's grouchy bear is because he's got a little burr in his paw. When you take the pain away, they became best friends. That's shadow work in a nutshell. So I personally, again, sorry for storytelling, but I personally made my trauma my power. So because I'm a life coach now, and I do my whole life based on service to finding tools that can help people, right? So that is my Aesop's fables, right? Where you have this weakness, this thing that debilitated me now is my power. I can speak from power on that thing. But not everybody's able to do that. It takes time, it takes effort, and a lot of work. But yeah, that's what the Strength card is all about. Allow your past to teach you. All right, you ready? So here we go. For your Divination of the Ancients, your card for the end, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I am coming back right after this, and we're going to do some Q&As. I have my coffee and my pen and paper. I'm going to let you guys ask some questions for your own personal life and situation. We're going to do that next. So if you want to hang out with me, I'll be back. But your card for this week to focus on is numerology, which is precision. Again, indecision is the opposite of precision. Indecision is just literally floating along. So sometimes it's good to surrender, and sometimes it's time to get really focused. So what do you do when you can't get focused? You get an expert. You get a tarot reading. You find a friend that is unbiased. You find somebody with more of what you want and ask them how they got it, and you find yourself some precise ways to